In the headlines, fire breaks out at Ministry of Finance building, Abuja. Signing of Electoral Act Amendment Bill postponed till Friday. APC Governor's Zone Party National Chairmanship position to North ahead of National Convention. And on the foreign scene, US imposes new Russia sanctions as Ukraine tensions rise. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now the news in full. Fire on Wednesday razed part of the Ministry of Finance building in the Federal Capital Territory. The cause of the fire is still unclear. Black smoke was seen billowing from part of the building, which is located at the Central Business District of Abuja. According to reports, the fire was put out and that it did not affect a major part of the building.
At about 6:50 this morning, the security men noticed smoke which emanated from a room that housed the batteries for the inverters in the ministry. Necessary alarm was raised and the internally provided fire fighting equipment were deployed, and within about 15-20 minutes, the fire was put under control. Information was also sent to the Federal Fire Service Federal Fire Service. Before they came, everything had been brought under control. The problem, the fire outbreak emanated from an exploded battery, which then affected the other batteries. About 10-16 batteries were affected, and that is what actually happened. That's why I took all of you around. Other than that room, the battery compartment at the basement of the ministry, the fire did not affect any other parts of the ministry.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari will now sign the reworked Electoral Act Amendment Bill on Friday, February 25th. According to Channels Television, the new date will be honored by the President. This comes at a time when President Buhari is presiding over the Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House in Abuja. And the INEC's Commissioner for Information and Voter Education, Festus Okoye, says delay in signing the Electoral Bill does not affect plans for the 2023 elections, insisting they have a window between February and April to take the necessary steps. He was speaking on Trust TV's morning show, Daybreak.
The Commission must rely on and operate within the confines and ambit of the existing electoral legal framework. As of today, the existing electoral legal framework is the Electoral Act 2010 as amended. The bill that is with the President, as far as the Commission is concerned, is still incoherent, is still not fully completed until the President gives his assent to the bill or refuses his assent, or until the National Assembly overrides the President's veto if the President refuses to give assent. Fundamental aspect of the law relating to the period for the conduct of elections in Nigeria revolves around Section 132, subsection 2, and 178, subsection 2 of the Constitution. Now, as you know, the Constitution is the fundamental law of the land and has pigeonholed the period for the conduct of elections. Now, based on the law, the Commission cannot conduct any election before the 30th day of December 2022, and we cannot conduct the election outside the 29th day of April 2023. But within this particular band, the Commission can recalibrate, readjust, and tweak the days for the conduct of election. So even if the President signs this particular bill by the first week of March, what the Commission can do is just to adjust the date for the conduct of election by just 1 week, and will still remain within the confines and ambit of the period prescribed by the Constitution for the conduct of elections. So waiting, if the Commission waits for at least an additional 2 weeks before releasing the timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of the 2023 general elections, we are still within the time frame allowed us by the Constitution and the law.
But in a contrary opinion, Hope Alive Africa, a civil society group, says the electoral umpire still has procurement and other issues to sort out.
Yeah, he made a lot of insightful points, but I can tell you that if it was when he was in the other side, he was a civil society man, now in the INEC management institution, he would speak very differently. And listening to him, I think that President Buhari probably is taking advice from INEC. And that is not correct. The fact is that the current Electoral Act cannot lead us to anywhere. It can only lead us to more violent political process, fraud in our electoral process that will lack integrity. And we have seen that time and time again. How do you, in 2011, for instance, when we introduced the card reader, the president that introduced it, actually, that same card led the process to class suicide.
And consistent with their threats, civil society groups on Tuesday converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, to demand immediate presidential assent to the reworked Electoral Act Amendment Bill to the executive arm of government. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that the action, according to the group, is born out of fears that further delay in signing the bill could lead to unnecessary constitutional crisis. His report.
A coalition of civil society groups, converge here on the Unity Fountain to press home the demand for President Muhammadu Buhari to assent to the Electoral Act Amendment Bill in the interest of Nigerians and in the interest of sanitizing the nation's electoral processes. They've been compelled, to converge here due to the delay in signing the bill by President Muhammadu Buhari. Let's get to hear from some of the leaders of the civil society organizations who have, converged here to, press home the demand for this very important assent by Mr. President.
As we speak, he's still got about 7 days, yes, we know, but then we are here because there is something that connects to the election in 2023. One of the fundamental aspects of the bill is about the timeline of the election. Based on the current bill, INEC has 360 days to conduct the elections in 2023. If you count from today, February 22nd, to the next cycle of election, you will get 360 days. Our fear is that if the president doesn't assent to the bill today, we will jump into a crisis. INEC will jump into a crisis of most likely postponing the election. That is, should INEC want to go with the current bill?
We want to believe that our president wants to leave a legacy for credible elections. So he does not have an option to be adamant. He does not have an option to fail. Because if he fails to sign this bill, he will be remembered as the president that killed electoral integrity. But if he passes this bill, he will be celebrated as the president that passed a law that enabled credible elections. And I think he wants to write his name in gold, not just for Nigeria, but for West Africa. That's one. The second part is we will keep engaging. We will deploy every means within the ambit of the law. We've done press conferences, we've lobbied, we've done advocacy. Today is a symbolic show coming to the Unity Fountain, which symbolizes our unity as a nation.
Talking about the need to compel President Muhammadu Buhari to sign into law the amended Electoral Act bill. They said it's a symbolic show, to get the president do the needful. But then there is also a precedence. The president has jettisoned, a similar opportunity in the build-up to 2015 elections. Whether that will change is one thing Nigerians are waiting to see as we move towards the 2023 general elections. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And still talking politics, ruling All Progressive Congress APC has agreed to swap the current vacant positions in the National Working Committee between the northern and southern parts of the country ahead of March 26 National Convention. Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State announced this on Tuesday while fielding questions from State House reporters after a meeting between the APC governors and President Muhammadu Buhari at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. Kebbi State Governor and Chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum, Atiku Bagudu, led the post-meeting briefing. The brief meeting that took place at the council chambers of the presidential villa and was attended by Vice President Yomi Oshibanjo and 18 governors.
To deliberate on the proposal by the National Caretaker Committee, and our briefing with Mr. President today, we are all on the same page. We have agreed a zoning formula for all the 6 geopolitical zones, and essentially we swapped northern zones will take positions that southern zones had in the last 8 years, and vice versa. It's a very simple, equitable, and fair formula. We will now go back and consult at the zonal level and look at the positions that are available, and the process of the convention preparation will start in earnest. So by the grace of God, on the 26th of March, we would have done our national convention. Whether we'll do the zonal convention before that or do it at the same time, again, the Constitution is silent, so as our chairman said, we can decide either way.
There is no doubt, although you are not specific, as to which reason will make us not to come back again. But as far as we are concerned, based on our assessment and based on what the federal government is doing tremendously, there is able hope that this party, this government will move beyond our president. And I think that is his efforts, and that is what he has been saying, that by the grace of God, this government will move beyond his tenure.
Zonal congresses are not explicitly stated in the Constitution, particularly how you do zonal congresses. And we have in the past done them with national convention, but nothing again in the Constitution stopped them from being done outside the national convention. But the final form will be decided given the input we have provided. Our governors divided? Not at all. The 22 governors of the APC are united. We are in total support of Mr. President. We are appreciative of his leadership. We commend him for his leadership. We are appreciative of the sacrifice of the National Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, and we thank them for the successes recorded under them. Our party, like I said, is greater and stronger with more members by the day.
And now to judicial matters, where the Nigerian judiciary and legal system have come under scrutiny from the Presidential Advisory Council on Corruption and Fight Against It. The council accused the judiciary of relying on technicalities to frustrate corruption trials and oftentimes give corrupt judges immunity. Some legal practitioners speak on the developments, including the delay in appointment of 6 Supreme Court judges. Mardia Umar has the report.
Complaints about Nigeria's judicial system and insider dealings in the appointment process, competence of persons appointed as judicial officers, and a host of other complaints abound, not only within the legal profession, but without.
A couple of home truths. One was the need to review the appointment process of judges, because judges are only as good as you can get, and if the appointment method is bad, then you get bad judges. So I think that was a critical point. The second point that came out, which was strongly made by the Attorney General Federation, which I support, is that the judiciary is always complaining about lack of money, which is true, but they don't also tell us what it is that they have and how they use it. And therefore the issue of accountability was raised, which is very important.
The delay in appointment of Supreme Court judges, some lawyers say, has untold effect on the administration of justice in Nigeria.
I understand that there was a recent publication or a request from the Chief Justice of Nigeria asking the Nigerian Bar Association to nominate persons who are qualified to serve as justices of the Supreme Court. This would actually be the first time this would happen in recent times. And I think it's a very welcome development. And in those days, people will say, you know, at least you have your day in court, with the expectation that redress will come, you know, and corruption tends to whittle away confidence in the judiciary. But what I would say to that with regards to the appointment of justices is that and I think this sentiment has been echoed by the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, that transparency helps to breed confidence. Everything, sunlight puts everything in proper perspective.
The chairman of the Intellectual Property Lawyers in Abuja also speaks about alleged corruption in the selection process of judicial officers.
Meanwhile, trial of a 48-year-old teacher in Niger State, Usman Galadima, standing trial for allegedly raping 14 pupils, has resumed, with more witnesses testifying against the defendant. Usman Galadima, the assistant head teacher of Central Primary School, Karabonde, Borgu, local government area of Niger State, is arraigned before Minna Magistrate Court 5 in August 2021 for allegedly raping and infecting 13 of his pupils with HIV/AIDS. Several witnesses, including the head teacher of the school, had earlier testified. The report.
On Tuesday, the seventh witness, a 45-year-old teacher in the school and the secretary of 5-member disciplinary committee set up by Borgu Local Government Education Authority, Ahmed Yusuf Tanko, gives evidence. Tanko also told the court during the investigation by the committee chaired by one Muhammad Ibrahim, 4 of the pupils told the panel they were raped by the accused. He said one of the pupils told the committee that the assistant head teacher had asked her on several occasions to come to school and used the opportunity to have intercourse with her. He said 5 of the pupils told the committee that Galadima only touched their body but did not have carnal knowledge of them. Tanko told the court when the accused was invited by the committee, he denied the allegations by the pupils, but thereafter admitted at a meeting with officials of the Local Government Education Authority held on August 27, 2001, that he only raped 3 of the pupils, not 13. The defense counsel, Shuaibu Abubakar, raised objections with regards to the content of the report tendered by the witness. But the police prosecutor, ASP Abdullahi Meyaki, objected to say that since the names of the members of the committee were written, the signature should not invalidate the exhibit.
There's nothing I can say other than he's doing his work as a defense counsel, see how he can exonerate or diminish, contradict the prosecution case. He's doing his work, so it's not left for the court now to decide otherwise.
Having taken the account by the witness, the presiding magistrate, Sa'adatu Abubakar, adjourned the case to March 23, 2022 for continuation hearing.
You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Coming up after the break, row over adulterated fuel importation. This and more after the break. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Trust TV News Update. Now look at our top stories. Fire on Wednesday razed part of the Ministry of Finance building in the Federal Capital Territory. The cause of the fire is still unclear. And President Muhammadu Buhari will now sign the reworked Electoral Act Amendment Bill on Friday, February 25th. And in other news, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, says it recorded 27 cases of COVID-19 in 4 states and the Federal Capital Territory. Breakdown of the infections showed that Lagos logged 12 cases of COVID-19, followed by the FCT with 8 and Katsina with 5. Kano and Rivers recorded 1 case each. The NCDC data shows 53 persons were discharged after they recovered from the infection, and there were no fatalities on Tuesday. With the new infections, Nigeria now has a total of 254,352 cases, 230,846 recoveries, and 3,142 fatalities. And a consortium of oil and gas companies have all absolved themselves from allegations of importing adulterated fuel into the country. The marketers made this admission during an investigative hearing by the House Committee on Petroleum Downstream, charged to identify the roles played by these companies responsible for importing adulterated fuel into the country. The report.
MRS Oil and Gas Company Limited and the AY Mekifi Consortium in their submission exonerate themselves from any infractions that may have resulted in the importation of toxic fuel into the country. Leader of the consortium, Dabo Olujimi, while applauding the decision of the NNPC to include private oil and gas companies in the importation of PMS, said this has dealt with the scarcity of the product for some time now. The consortium said the importation of the product during the period under review followed all due process and certified after investigation. The consortium said the importation of the product during the period under review followed all due process and certified after inspection on arrival into the country.
So I believe that the specification which we work with is issued by the Standards Organization of Nigeria. It's their prerogative to decide what parameters they want us to check for in line with global standards. So to your question, is it normal? Yes, all over the world, unless there's a specific need, you do not test for methanol.
The consortium was awarded the DSTB contract on June 22, 2021 by the NNPC. The delivery of the petroleum products and crude lifting has been done strictly on rotational basis by respective consortium members. Some of the consortium members, Emadeb, Mekifi, immediately engage reputable international partners for delivery of the gasoline products and prompt loading of crude. But one of our sister company, which is the fourth member, Britannia, you choose to engage a different entity and decide to go on our own.
But Britannia Oil and Gas Company Limited, originally part of the consortium, pulled out later is fingered as the culprit in the importation of the said toxic PMS, but the COO quickly debunked it. She said due process is followed in the importation, moreover the timeline for the said fuel cleared and distributed does not tally with the period under review.
You people are learned and professional gentlemen and women. Can you go and ask somebody that you stole without telling him what he stole or what you caught him? Now you said that we brought in a spectator. Did anybody, because before you said that we brought in, you will test, there will be a joint test. Was there any joint test between us, NNPC or whoever? There was none. They did an independent inspection, which legally under the Nigerian law is DPR that is supposed to do the testing. Now you have done the test. What is the test result? We don't have the test result as we speak today.
The committee called for the submission of all relevant documents relating to the importation of PMS within the period under review to enable members to fully digest it for further investigation. The investigation continues tomorrow when other companies will appear before the committee.
And owners of property destroyed due to the construction of Ilorin-Jaba Expressway want President Muhammadu Buhari to prevail on the Federal Ministry of Works to release compensation due to them. During a peaceful protest at the construction site in Shao area, the property owners said that several appeals and letters written to the Minister of Works, Babatunde Fashola, 3 years ago have not yielded any result. The protesters said they were directed to Kwara State government for the payment, who in turn claimed ignorance of any compensation issue. According to them, property owners in Lagos-Ogbomosho axis have been paid, wondering why those within Ilorin and Jaba axis will be different.
This road within Ilorin and Jaba. Today, we came to this place because of express road they are now constructing. This express started from Lagos to Ibadan, from Ibadan to Oyo, from Oyo to Ogbomoso, from Ogbomoso to Ilorin, from Ilorin to Jeba. The compensation have been paid from Lagos to Ibadan. Even that Ojo market, compensation was paid. But this minister Fashola, he didn't pay our compensation and work have started. That's why we come here. And they are now working. He said he won't pay our compensation because of the Federal Executive Council. They have a meeting on 19 October and the governors were not there. He said the state government they want to pay the money and then they are not entitled. We know the work of state. When they are doing their road, they will pay compensation. When federal are doing their own, they will pay compensation. From Lagos to Ogbomoso, they are paying compensation. Why is he want to pay our own compensation?
It affects us because all of us here, we are parents. We have the beneficiaries that we too, students are in the university. We have other elderly people at home. We have people who are looking up to us. So we want all our compensation to be paid before they start anything on our stations.
Now look at the foreign scene, where U.S. President Joe Biden has announced a new sanctions package against Russia, calling Moscow's recognition of 2 breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent the beginning of a Russian invasion of its neighbor. In a brief speech on Tuesday, Biden condemned his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin's decision to recognize the independence of Luhansk and Donetsk and to authorize the deployment of Russian troops to maintain peace in the regions. The sanctions target Russia's sovereign debt as well as 2 large Russian financial institutions, including the country's military bank. On Monday, Putin recognized the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic and Luhansk People's Republic, areas that have seen fighting between Moscow-backed separatists and the Ukrainian government since 2014. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and of course follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for staying with us.